Hello and welcome back to Vault Hunters. We're back again with another episode, I guess. I was thinking more along the lines of more excitement, because that's what we need. So, after last episode, we unlocked a few extra mods. We got ourselves refined storage, and we got ourselves power. Now, I've done a little bit of work on those, as always. We now have a blazing and a hardened generator running down here, although I don't really need both of these. Kind of overkill. We do now have a blazing energy cell, and I did get that from a mod box. So one of the cool things about mod boxes are once you've unlocked certain mods, you can get this stuff from them. So it's super exciting. And we did go ahead and make ourselves a wireless grid. Still not a crafting grid. I don't have enough pogs to pull that off. We got a couple extra disk drives from mod boxes as well. We've expanded our drawer system over here and corrected the priority on it. I had it kind of messed up and my disks ran out of space, so that was kind of a no-gooder. And we've been running a ton of vaults. Ooh, actually some good stuff in there. Some mod boxes in there. Those are great. I don't have enough soul shards, however. But yeah, we've been running stuff like crazy, just trying to build up enough knowledge. And you'll look in the top right-hand corner, I have 6 unspent knowledge points. So yeah, running vaults like crazy. I did get a really cool sword I do want to show you guys. This thing, it's not even a rare, it's like a regular sword, but it has a legendary 26.5 attack damage. So this thing is amazing. I think it does something like 100 some damage, I think. So let's check it on the dummy here. 64 for a regular hit and 96.6 on a crit. So that is absolutely amazing. So the main purpose of today's episode is to unlock our first processing mod. So as you guys know, if you've ever played Vault Hunters or you just watch Vault Hunters, you know that processing is a big thing because there's a whole lot of stuff that we have to do in order to get the pieces to be able to complete this game. One of the biggest things that we need to do is number one, we need to be able to build. We need to be able to build infrastructure and everything else to handle this thing right here, the Vault Altar. As we get more and more leveled up, we need to be able to provide the resources needed for the vaulter. So we have some vault rocks here ready to go. Let's put one in and let's look at the kind of stuff that we need. So this one we need 15 blaze rods, 54 deep slate, 34 kelp, and 37 copper ingots. Now this stuff, if you want to run 10 vaults in one day, this can get super expensive, and sometimes they have some pretty rare items in these. Right now, this one's a decently easy one, other than maybe like kelp, something like that. Kelp can be kind of difficult when you're in the sky like this. Copper's not too bad. You get this from raw vaults, and I think we have a decent bit of copper in here, so we can do that one pretty easy. But sometimes these things can get very difficult, so we need mods to be able to process items to be able to get all the things we need for the vault altar. So the blaze rods, for example, you saw in the last episode we worked with Fuzzy to get some of his Kagerium stuff going. Now, Fuzzy has quite a decent bit of stuff, including a ton of blaze rods, 2,400 of them, 37 wither skeleton skulls. Looks like he's maxed out right now on this Guardian mob cage. And so these things are, mods like that will help you get all the pieces that you need to be able to keep running vaults so that you can level up and eventually beat the game. Vault Hunters has quite a few mods in it that you can unlock. Obviously, these are progression locked, so as you were earlier on in the game, you can't access quite as many of these. But as we move on, there's a section in the middle called Big Mods. And this contains Mechanism, Create, Thermal Expansion, and Botania. Now, Botania has been very, very limited because Botania can make you a little bit overpowered, and when you're overpowered, it kind of ruins the balance of the game. So Botania is very limited, so I don't think that's one that I necessarily want to go with. And I've talked to you guys about this before. Mechanism and Create are my two options. Mechanism is very technical, allows you to, multiply mods, you can smelt things super fast, this, and I've done Mechanism for 2 seasons in a row now. So I asked everyone, and everybody was saying, let's go Create. And so Create is a completely different mod than what I've done too. It's still a tech mod, but it's not quite the same as Mechanism. It uses more real-life things. And just as an example, here is some Create machines right here. This is a weighted ejector, which will eject you. This is part of a game that I believe Vert is making. And yeah, we can actually free cam underneath here and take a look. There's like gears and water wheels and clutches and all kinds of really interesting stuff. So this is something that I think I want to take on and start anew, because I've never used Create before. I've only ever worked with it slightly, but that's mostly been with like everybody else's help. So let's start off this adventure by taking Create. Now this will obviously unlock some transmogs for us, and we can go take a look at those really quickly here, because I'm kind of curious how the Create ones look. Yeah, the Create chest plate has some gears on it and a clock on the front, so that's kind of a cool chest plate. I don't think it's something I'm going to transmog into right now, at least, but it is a kind of a cool transmog. So now that we have Create started, we can go ahead and take a look at our JEI here and just open up all the options and possibilities we have. All kinds of cool stuff. We have water wheels to create energy. We have presses. We have everything else. Steam engines. I mean, it's a completely fully featured mod. So there's two things that I want to kind of start off Create with, one of which is smelting items. So whenever I smelt items here, it takes forever. So just as an example, let's take 4 cobbled deep slate, and we'll throw them into the furnace here, and you can look how long it takes to smelt just one piece of cobble down to its, deep slate counterpart. And it takes forever. It's being sucked down into here right now. But it just takes a long time. If I want to smelt like 6 stacks worth of this, it would take a very long time and use a ton of fuel. So one of the things I want to be able to do is set it up so I can bulk smelt items. And number 2, one of the things we can do, we can bulk smelt items with it. We can also haunt items, which I think is really, really interesting. We use a blue soul flame there. And we can turn things like sweet berries into glow berries. We can turn regular mushrooms into crimson stems. We can create blackstone, which is something we would normally have to go and get, from the nether. We can actually create it if we have cobblestone. We can take cobblestone, throw it in there, and we get blackstone. We can turn regular bricks into nether bricks. And things like nether bricks and blackstone and all of that kind of stuff come up in the vault altar. We can even take grass and turn it into soul soil, which I think is very important. Another thing that's in there, same with like the ink sacks, turning them into glow ink sacks. We can do that all bulk right from here. This is a neat one. I didn't realize we could turn lapis into prismarine shards and prismarine crystals. So that's another way. Of course, sand into soul sand. A bunch of different things that we can do with this. We can even create infested blocks, which I think is kind of fun. So we can maybe mess with people. But this is another one that I know for sure is in the vaulter, the poisonous potato. We can turn potatoes into poisonous ones. We can also bulk smoke with this thing too. So we can take things like vault steak and turn it into the regular cooked versions. So we can do that. The washing is a huge one as well. This is a very important one that people ran into last season. I can take a stack of concrete powder, throw it down in front of a bulk washer, and I can get concrete out of it. I don't have to sit there and mine it up each time. I can turn my sand into clay, which I think is important. I can turn soul sand into nether quartz and gold nuggets, another very important one that we might need for the vaulter. And I can also clean glass with it. So I can take stained glass and make it into regular glass, which I think is super awesome. So in order to get started with this, we need a couple things. First of which, we need the goggles. Now the goggles are what help us decipher everything. In order to get that, we need to press some gold. So we need a mechanical press, starting off first, which is an andesite casing, a shaft, and a block of iron, and then we need a hand crank. So the hand crank I know is pretty easy to make, but we need this this first mechanical press thing. So to create a shaft, we need some andesite alloy, which is a huge part of Create, which requires chromatic iron and andesite. We have quite a bit of that, so let's go ahead and make a stack of that. That's going to be our first pieces of the puzzle. So we'll go ahead and create ourselves some shafts, and then we have a block of iron. We can easily make a block of iron, and then we need to make an andesite casing. So this is kind of interesting because we have to do it manually. We need a chromatic iron block, and then we apply an andesite alloy to it. So let's go ahead and make up a chromatic iron block. We basically just set this down. Then we take one of our andesite alloys and we right-click it, and that turns it into the andesite casing. Then we can just pick that up, and then we can use that to create our very first mechanical press. And there we go. So we now have a mechanical press. Now I have made a little area out here that I kind of want to use for this. And it's right over here, basically. And yeah, it's just kind of in here. I'm leaving that open for my solar panels right now. I'll cover it with glass later. But this is basically where I want to place items for right now. This is just going to kind of be a little platform. Like I said, eventually we're going to be building a mega base, and we're going to have space inside that mega base for all of this kind of stuff whenever we get there. We next need to make a hand crank, which is, again, pretty easy. Driftwood, iron, andesite alloy. We'll grab that. And then while we're here, we are going to grab some gold. Now, gold is a lot of the stuff you need here with Create. And we need this gold sheet to be able to make ourselves up some goggles. So we're going to place our hand crank on the side, and we can cranky crank crank. Now, I can't see a whole lot of what's going on now because, well, I mean, we don't have our engineer's goggles. So next, we're going to turn off our magnet, because that got me there. And we're going to throw the gold piece down, and we just crank away. And you'll see, it then presses it into a golden sheet. Now we have our first golden sheet, and we are going to start making ourselves up pieces to do all this stuff with. So, real quickly, we'll make ourselves some engineer's goggles, and then we can take these and put them on our head. Now, I think I have to, can I put it in here? I think I have to put it here. Yeah, there we go. So we have our engineer's glasses on. Now, in theory, if we walk over here, we should be able to see some details about our Create items. There we go. So we can look right now. We have 0 stress units currently. And the generator, if I spin it, we can see we're making 256. So yeah, now I get like statistics on the items that I'm working on. So that is a really cool little feature, and I can kind of keep this goggles on all the time if I want to. And anytime I walk past Create stuff, I can actually look to see what's going on with it. So the next thing we want to create is a water wheel. Now the reason we want to create a water wheel is we need something to generate that rotational force for us just basically all the time. I don't want to have to be, you know, cranking stuff to process my items. That seems a little bit, you know, wild. And so we're going to create ourselves a water wheel. Now this is not the cheapest thing in the world. It does require 2 chromatic steel, but it's also not ridiculously expensive. And so yeah, that'll get us started with that. The next thing we need to look at is the encased fan. Now this is the biggest piece of this puzzle that will allow us to bulk smelt items. So we have to make ourselves a propeller, which is iron plate, iron sheet. So, okay, so it looks like we have to smash some iron now. And I guess we'll just have to do this manually to get started. I know I need 4 of them. And yeah, once we get the water wheel going, that'll create our rotational energy to start all of this stuff. All right, so we'll see if we can align this stuff up here. It looks like I can put this on here. And then I can put a small cogwheel right there. And now we have reversed our stuff, and it should be sped up a little bit so we can put our face. Hey, there we go. And it's blowing me across. This is exactly what we wanted. So now what I'm going to do is let's make this a little safer. Let's put 2 of these here, and then we're going to put an iron bar right in front of it. And let's also go ahead and put an iron block behind it. So now there's no effect back here. The effect is only limited to right here. So what we can do in order to start up some bulk smelting, I can just put iron or lava there, sorry. And then now we can see the red particles are coming out. The red particles are good. That means we can bulk smelt items now with that. So I've got 20 cobbled deep slate here. And I don't know how long this takes to actually smelt, but I know we can do it like stack at a time. So if I just go right here, I got to make sure to not throw it into the lava. And I throw it out there. Okay, we see the particles coming off. I picked it up by accident. Okay, see, it's kind of beside it, but I think it should still work. The particles are coming off, and eventually it should turn into deep slate. And I should see it at the very top of my screen with my what am I looking at? There we go. It just turned. It actually did not take that long to do that. So that is super exciting. So the next thing that I really want to make in order to get some higher speeds of things, I would love to build a windmill. Now the problem is the windmill bearing, as you can see here, requires 2 black chromatic steel and a pog. It is very, very expensive. I am not sure how much the sails cost. A windmill sail, okay, windmill sail is not too bad. It's just wool, andesite alloy, and sticks. So the windmill sail is not a problem. It's that windmill bearing. That's the one that's gonna get us All right, welcome back, everyone. After a little bit of time there, and it took me way longer than I ever care to admit to get this thing working correctly. You got to go backwards and forwards with everything. So we've made our 2 crushing wheels, and it's actually working as we speak right now. So over here, I went ahead and I crafted up this super expensive windmill bearing. It creates 1,536 SU. So these use 96 per, so it's not too bad. Crafted up some gearboxes, which are just andesite casings with cogs around it, so not too awful bad. Yeah, so we've created this. I gotta be careful not to jump on top of that because it does hurt me. The chutes, those are really inexpensive as well, and I just put a chest above and a chest below. And basically up top here, I put in my vault stone, and it crushes it, and then dispenses it back down into here. So here you can see we have 48 vault cobblestone, and we have our 31 chipped vault rocks. So I can then take this vault cobblestone, and I can throw it into here, and it will turn this vault cobblestone into vault stone, or actually I think it's polished vault stone. Is that what it is? Yeah, it turns it into polished vault stone, and then I can use that to craft, you know, these things like these blocks that you see here that I use to build. I'm going to need a lot of this to build with, so I'm not super, you know, worried about turning it into something else, because you can't really use vault cobblestone as it stands. You have to turn it into this polished vault stone first. So yeah, so this is our first machines we have here for Create. One thing I would like to do is I would like to really speed this up, and I think I can do that by adding more sails. So the sails are not super expensive to make either, and I think I probably should make a few more. The sails are pretty cheap. It's just wool, andesite alloy, and sticks. So I think I'm going to make up quite a few more of those, and I'm basically going to expand this contraption to be a good bit bigger. Not only will it be able to create higher speed, but it will also create more stress units so I can do more with it. Now, I think there's also something that's a speed controller that will allow me to speed things up, possibly. It does cost a POG, a brass casing, and a precision mechanism, so it looks like I have to make up a deployer system with a belt, and so I can do that. That's not too bad. Just put some golden sheets in there, and I have to repeat the sequence 5 times. Oh, goodness, so I'll have to come up with a system to do that. But the speed controller, I believe, will allow me to... Actually, let's ponder this here. Yeah, it looks like you can configure the speed for it, so you can turn it up or down. Yeah, it looks like you can turn it up or down, so you can actually get speed out of it. Now, you lose stress units when you make it faster. But, yeah, this in and of itself is pretty slow, so it does take quite a long time. And in order to even get the speed that I have now, I had to run this through quite a few gear reductions, or gear... Not reduction, but increasing steps here, so that we could make this a little bit faster to actually turn these cogs a little bit quicker, because you can see it's really slow there, but it's a little bit faster here. All right, so we're back at it here, and yeah, just a couple little updates here. I added some chutes in here and a smart chute down below to help filter my stuff out. So I also built a cobble generator here. Just has some lava and some water and some of these mechanical drills. And they're all just spinning here, creating the cobblestone. They get sucked in by these chutes, and we have cobblestone being generated. So the idea was that I could go in here and just drop this stuff in here. And basically, well, okay, my magnet's on. Gotta turn my magnet off around this stuff. You drop it in here, and the chute drops it right down on top of the fire. And because it's a smart chute, it's not going to pull it in until it is actually stone. And we can see that, well, maybe this hopefully won't cause too big a problem. Yeah, we can see it right here to where we have a filter in here. And I'll turn my magnet on to get that piece back. And yeah, so it just basically filters it through. And once it has been filtered out, it goes directly into an importer and directly into my storage system. So I don't have to worry about it anymore. I can just kind of drop things in, which is really nice. Now, if I want to smelt something else, I do have to change the filter on this. So if I want to smelt up some more vault rocks, I can change the filter to the, or not vault rocks, but the vault stone. I can change the filter to the polished vault stone, and then it'll basically wait till it's done and then pulls it back down in. So yeah, basically we have an unlimited stone generation now. I can generate my stone, and I can keep some of it cobble if I want. And I picked all that stuff up. I need to figure out a better solution for that so I don't accidentally pick things up, because it gets into that corner and you can just walk into that corner and it'll pick it up for you. So anyway, I have unlimited cobble now, which is super exciting. Now, I believe this is probably not the best solution to this, but yeah, it works for right now. I believe we can use other materials to make different items. I think you can use like honey to make certain blocks. You can use chocolate to make certain blocks. And I haven't figured that all out quite yet. Even if I go in, like, I made a bucket of chocolate there, but even if I go in here, click on this, and then click on uses, it just tells me I can make bars of chocolate, but it doesn't tell me if I can actually make certain blocks because of how this works. I'm not really sure yet. I think you can turn it into different blocks. I think it's just going to be a bit of an experimentation. And but until that point in time, yeah, I just have it making cobble for right now because I know I can use the cobble, I know I can use the stone, and it will be nice to have. I think I have at this point smelted up all of my vault stone and got my vault rocks out of it. So if I look here, I have 3.1 thousand chip vault rocks. So I should be set for a good while. That's the main purpose of that vault stone. Yeah, I think I've basically done all of it up. So now it's all polished. And I can use machines if I need to take that back out of the polished. But the polish is what you can put into the stone cutter and make, yeah, these kinds of blocks and stuff like that with it. So anyway, that is going to be it for me today. I appreciate you guys all joining in on this create journey. I'm going to be getting into some more advanced stuff here, hopefully pretty soon. And I will let you guys know as soon as I am back with more stuff. So thank you all for watching. I'll see you all on the next episode.